Did you know that mature garlic leaves can be every bit as flavorful and aromatic as the garlic bulbs we normally use in the kitchen? Today, I'm going to show you exactly how I grow garlic at home specifically for its fresh green leaves. I'll take you through the entire process, from the moment the garlic cloves begin their growing journey, through the early rooting stage, and all the way to the point when they develop tall, thick, mature green leaves. Let's get started. I had several garlic bulbs that were already beginning to sprout. Small green shoots were pushing their way out from the tops. And instead of letting those bulbs sit around and eventually go to waste, I decided to put them to good use and grow them. The first thing I do is help those young sprouts emerge more easily. Using a very sharp knife, I carefully trim away a small portion from the top of each garlic bulb. I'm not cutting deeply into the garlic. I'm only removing enough of the tip to open up the firm outer wrapping around the top. This small step makes a noticeable difference. By removing that restrictive outer layer, the young green shoots have more room to stretch upward. Instead of struggling beneath the dry, rigid covering, they can grow out more freely, more evenly, and in a straighter direction. For the first stage of growing, I'm using a rectangular container with a lid. We prepared the lid by making 6 round holes in a straight line. Each opening is positioned with enough space between the others so the garlic can sit securely without being packed too tight together. The space is simple, but it matters. Once the garlic begins producing long leaves, each plant needs enough room to stand upright and continue developing without immediately crowding the plants beside it. Before putting the garlic in the container, I need to prepare the pebbles. These pebbles have to be washed extremely well. I rinse them thoroughly until the dust, sand, and loose dirt clinging to their surfaces are completely removed. This step shouldn't be skipped because anything left on the pebbles will eventually end up in the water. Clean pebbles help keep the water inside the container clear instead of cloudy and dirty. They also prevent unnecessary sediment from building up around the garlic roots. That creates a much cleaner environment for the developing root system. Because the roots are going to spend this early stage surrounded by water and pebbles, they need good access to oxygen. Keeping the growing environment clean helps the roots remain well aerated and allows them to continue developing normally. Once the pebbles are ready, I pour them in the bottom of the container. This layer of pebbles serves an important purpose. The garlic roots will eventually grow downward and spread throughout the spaces between them. As the roots become longer, the pebbles provide a solid structure for them to wrap around and hold onto. That extra support helps stabilize the garlic plants as their leaves grow taller. Without a firm basin underneath, the plants could become less stable as they gain height. With the pebbles in place, the roots have something to anchor them to. The spaces between the individual pebbles are also useful because they allow pockets of air to remain throughout the growing area. This gives the roots access to oxygen while they continue developing in the moist environment. That combination of support, moisture, and airflow helps the roots stay healthy and reduces the chance of them becoming soft or rotting. Now it's time to position the garlic. I place the garlic carefully in the 6 openings I made in the lid. Each piece sits upright, with the lower portions face into the container and the green sprout pointing upward through the opening. The lid holds everything firmly in position. At this point, the setup is complete. The garlic is supported from above by the lid, while the roots have the pebbles and water below them. Now all that's left is to let the plants grow. After only a few days, the change is already easy to see. The green shoots have stretched noticeably higher, and they're growing at a surprisingly even rate. But the most exciting part is underneath. When I look through the clear sides of the container, I can sight clusters of bright white roots beginning to spread beneath every garlic clove. The roots are multiplying quickly. Instead of just a few thin strands, each plant is starting to develop a much fuller root system. The white roots extend downward, separating into more strands as they continue searching through the growing space below. They're growing incredibly fast. After leaving the garlic for only a short period of time, I came back and found that the entire patch had grown to more than twice the height it had been before. The transformation is obvious. The leaves are no longer tiny young shoots. They're becoming longer, broader, and much more substantial. Their color is also becoming richer. The fresh green leaves are beginning to enter a more mature stage with fuller blades and a healthy, vibrant appearance. And while all that growth is happening above the container, even more is happening below the surface. Because the container is transparent, I can follow the root development without disturbing the plants. The roots have now grown so long that some of them are nearly reaching the bottom. They wind their way downward through the pebbles, slipping in the gaps and weaving around one another. The entire root system is becoming increasingly dense. It's one of the most satisfying parts of the whole process. Above the container, there's a neat row of bright green leaves stretching upward. Below it, there's an equally impressive network of clean white roots spreading through the pebbles. The contrast is beautiful. The tops are fresh, upright, and green, while underneath the roots quietly continue expanding and intertwining. As the plants keep developing, the roots become more tightly connected throughout the pebble layer. At this stage, the garlic looks strong and remarkably uniform. The leaves are lush and healthy. The plants are standing upright, and the root systems underneath have become large and well established. That tells me it's time for the next stage. Now, I'm ready to move the garlic from this container into pots filled with soil. I start by gently separating the garlic. This part needs to be done carefully because I don't want to damage the large root systems that have developed underneath. The roots are already long and heavily intertwined, so I work slow and separate each garlic clove as gently as possible. The goal is to keep as much of the root system intact as I can. Once the cloves are separated, I begin selecting the ones I actually want to plant. I only keep the large, firm, healthy cloves from the outside portion of the garlic bulb. Those are the strongest ones. The small, thin, flat cloves from the inner part of the bulb are discarded. This selection step is especially important if the goal is to grow thick, lush garlic leaves. Healthy growth starts with healthy planting material. If you want strong plants with full green leaves, choosing the biggest and healthiest cloves from the binning gives the garlic the best possible start. Now that I've selected the cloves I want to keep, it's time to plant them in soil. I've already prepared the potting mix. The soil is loose and light rather than hard or compacted, and it has enough moisture to support the young roots. That loose texture makes it easier for the roots to settle into their new environment. One by one, I place the garlic plants in the soil. As I plant each one, I carefully fill soil back around the base. I make sure the roots are covered and protected, but I leave the green shoots above the soil so they can continue growing upward. There's no need to bury those fresh leaves. The goal is to support the base of the plant while keeping the upper growth free. You also make sure the garlic plants are spaced at regular intervals. Rather than crowding everything together, I leave enough room between each plant so every garlic clove has its own growing space. That way, each plant has room to continue developing as the leaves become tall and fuller. Once all the garlic is planted, their new growing area is complete. The difference from the earlier stage is beautiful to see. Now the bright green shoots are standing neatly in rows against the surface of the soil. Every plant is upright, evenly spaced, and ready to continue growing. Watching plant develop is always full of small surprises. Something that started with a few garlic bulbs that were already sprouting has now become a healthy patch of fresh green garlic. From the first tiny shoots to the rapidly growing white roots to the strong green leaves standing neatly in soil, every stage brings something new to watch. Please like the video and follow the channel so you can join me as we continue watching this garlic patch grow even taller in the next episode. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.